Ladies and gentlemen, what you are looking at is my beautiful Filipina Daisy May surfacing the water pump. Now the water pump had a lip over here from when it was banged on to remove it. Daisy has put the mill file on here and gone back and forth and rotated the file around the perimeter of the surface, the flat face surface, until she's gotten about 90%, may I say it, about 90% done. Just a little bit more here and you're done. But today's dissertation is about buying tools in the Philippines. So let's start with my 10,000 peso or $200 pressure washer, which I have now repaired in excess of 15 times, and I will tell you what today's problem is, and then I'm going to talk about green gas that they are now selling in the Philippines, and that it has changed the way gasoline powered tools are working. So today's dissertation is the pressure washer. This little section of the pressure washer here that this piece screws onto it didn't vibrate off, but the pressure was so great that it blew it off the threads. And now the threads that you see here by my finger are not deep enough to hold this tip on. So this is a brand new pressure washer with 20 hours of usage, and this has now come apart, and it has to be either rethreaded, or if it's steel, I'm going to have to weld that on, and if it's not steel, I'm going to have to groove this and put a band with some metal pieces to strap it. That's one thing. It's a brand new pressure washer. You all know I bought it a few weeks ago. Now I'm going to show you the other 14 or so repairs. Okay, another thing that happened when it was brand new is that this adjustment here to tighten the belts was not enough of an adjustment, so I had to put this spacer in here. That's the second thing. The third thing is this poppet valve or pressure relief valve in here does not work. I had to take it apart, and there was a couple of burrs inside that I fixed so that when the pressure washer goes on, the poppet valve was hanging up inside, and now once again it is not working properly. So in order to get this brand new pressure washer to work, I have to turn this, relieve the pressure and put it back on really quick, like I'm basically hammering it with the pressure of the water. The third thing is this does not sit on the tracks parallel to the two pulleys are not parallel. This is cocked slightly this way, and the motor we're going to talk about in the middle. So the way I had to straighten out the pump from cocking was to put this block of wood in there so that when I apply pressure with the adjustment, the pressure is even on both sides. The next thing is this cap was cracked when it was new. I had to have it cracked in half. They replaced that cap. Now this is a big one. The next thing is a big one. I don't know what we're up to. Number 7. Okay, this bracket here that holds the pump has bent down towards the floor about 3/16 of an inch. So it's no longer straight across this way. It is now bent, which makes the pulley cocked to the belts. So what I had to do was make a small piece of steel Where's that small piece of steel, Daisy? Inside?
What steel?
The short piece that I cut yesterday. Bring that out, please. The piece of steel that goes in there. It's about as long as that piece of wood. It's about this long.
The one that we cut?
Yes, the one I cut and grinded. So I had to make a new piece of steel for this, which I will show you.
Which one?
The one that's shiny. This one. This piece of steel here has to go on here because, as you can see, it rocks back and forth. That's just only from the weight of the machine and the constant vibration. So that's number 8. Number 9, this switch somehow was not working. I had to take it apart. The contacts were not clean. I had to take the switch apart and clean the contacts. Another thing that occurs is the spark plug. Well, the spark plug wasn't installed properly at the factory, and it was loose, and it blew out while I was working it the first day. Okay? Another thing that was broke is these 4 handles slipped off of here while we were carrying it. One slipped off. I didn't drop the pressure washer, but it did fall off, and that's why I put the rope on here. And now we're going to talk about the green one. Now these 3 caps here are called, it's called a grease cap. And the way it works is after the machine runs for a certain period of time, you screw the cap down. And grease that's inside the cap will be pushed into the pistons that are over here. Now, another problem is this falls off when you put it into high gear. The pressure, the vibration from the machine, this pops off. So you got to be careful if it pops off to get it back and you don't step on it. Okay? That's another problem. So here's the grease cap. When I bought the machine, there was no grease in here. There was there wasn't enough grease to fill up 1/6 of what you see in the cap now. So you have to fill up these grease caps and apply grease into there. Now you can see that hole there. When the machine runs for about an hour, the grease gets sucked down into the piston, which is an exposed piston. And normally this kind of cap has been used for a few hundred years to grease anything from a ball bearing to a piston, an exposed piston. It's been used for a couple of hundred years, and the grease goes on this cylinder. That's working okay, but you have to remember every hour to screw this cap down so that the grease goes onto the piston. And one of the other problems is, being that the belts were not lined up right, the belts now have a lip over here, which you may be able to see and maybe not, but the belts are wearing non-consistently. This is new tools. This is made in China. It was 10,000 pesos plus 215 pesos for a quart of oil, which they really got me for. And now another thing is these fittings that hold. This one is for the return of the water into the tank. Okay, the fittings have rusted so badly you have to screw them on and off and knock the rust off each time. This one and this one. This one is brass. It seems to be okay. So, and now we're going to talk about green gas. They started selling green gas in the Philippines a few weeks ago.
Get the gas?
No. Yeah, you can get the container of gas. Okay. Let me see. This is very nice. Daisy polished this up. It's perfect. Use the mill file. And on the outside of this, we wire brushed it and found a hole over here. And I'll put the hose so far up here. And now I'm going to paint this. I'm going to paint all of these fittings inside and out, just because that's the way I am. But this has been needle scaled, degreased, and pressure washed. And now I'm going to sand this down a little bit with that black sandpaper. Yeah, please. And then I'm going to paint it. So this is the gas. I don't know that you'll be able to see that it's green, but let's make believe you can see that it's green. This says no oil because it's gas with no oil. Okay. You might be able to see that it's green. And if you did see it, then this gas is different than the gas that I had bought last September. And now, not only does my pressure washer not run as powerful as it did, even though I had oil in the old gas, but this machine that I filled up with the green gas and 40-to-1 mix, which is an echo blower, is now only running at about 1/5 or 1/6 or 1/7 its full power capacity, because it's running differently. I don't know. Maybe somebody can tell me, but I did read an article in the newspaper. Okay, Daisy, thank you.